everyone. Welcome back to the City of Toronto Scarborough District Committee of Adjustment hearing. We are going to be starting our afternoon session for the agenda today. Today is December 7, 2022. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx webinar, which is an online digital platform, and it's streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will be automatically muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to a panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5 minutes allocated speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen or other panelist controls during a video conference. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. Before we begin, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that apply to property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on any application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto local appeal body called the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the TLAB or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal called the OLT. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. As of November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, those that are terms defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of the hearing procedure, I will call each item in the order as it's listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee or for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that are outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of the revised application are informed of the revisions. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. I would like to remind all the speakers that we are certainly here to listen to your concerns. However, repeating the same message will not advance your cause. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will then be taken into committee for a decision. For the afternoon session, we have items listed from item 18 to item 27. Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff for the items on these slots?
Through the chair, there are no staff conflicts.
Thank you, and I would like to declare a conflict on item number 25, and the applicant is an acquaintance of mine. So it is item 25 that I'm declaring a conflict of interest. And may I request a panel member to assist me to chair that item when I step away? Requesting for help here, any volunteer member? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will chair in your absence.
Thank you. So Member Macaulay is going to chair item 25 for 792 Midland Avenue when I step away. Are there any requests for deferral, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
Through the chair, there's one deferral in the afternoon session. It's item number 21, 9 TALLPINES Court. Deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to correctly identify all requested variances.
Thank you. Can I please have Jasbir Johal online to confirm? Hello, Jasbir, are you with us?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Jasbir, we have received your request to defer the application sine die. Would you like to please confirm and state the purpose of deferral?
Madam Chair, we're requesting a deferral request for 9 TALPINES. We discovered error with the variances on the zoning notices that were calculated. It will impact 2 of the 3 minor variances that we applied for. We only discovered it in a very short time yesterday, and the zoning examiner did confirm that they were wrong. So it was too late for us to modify or correct our application at that point. So we're looking for a deferral to modify and go for revision to correct our variances requested.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasbir, for confirming that. Members of the committee, do you have any concerns with this request? I see none. All right, thank you. So thank you for confirming, Jasbir. If there are no comments or questions from the committee, can I please have a motion? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, for good reason, yes, I move that we adjourn this matter, defer this matter, I should say, sine die. Please
Thank
defer.
you. Thank you very much, Member McKay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion.
All right, thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been deferred sine die for 9 TALLPINES Court.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, do we have additional requests for deferral?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. All right, members, we are going to start vetting the agenda. So the first item on the afternoon sort of list is 22 RHYDWEN Avenue. It's item 18, 22 RHYDWEN Avenue. Staff, do you want to provide an update on the registered speaker, please?
Through the chair, Kyle Bowers, the neighbor registered to speak, sent us an email saying that he is unable to attend the hearing.
Thank you very much for confirming that. So again, for record, Kyle Bowers has provided written correspondence that they are this person is unable to attend the afternoon or the hearing today. So I guess we do not have to hold down this item any further. So may I request the agent, Shervin Farzam Behboudi, to please come online? Hello, Shervin, are you with us?
Through the chair, Shervin, please do not press your mute button.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the members of the committee. This is Sherwin Farzan Behudi. I'm an agent of this project to
Okay.
represent and also a designer.
Thank you very much, Shervin, for attending today. So, Shervin, we have your application before us. There was one registered speaker, but we no longer have that person registered. So we can proceed with your application. We've looked at your application and just want to confirm with you that there is recommendation from Urban Forestry for 2 conditions, as well as the Metrolinx requesting for a environmental easement to be granted. Do you have any concerns with the conditions as noted?
We communicated with Metrolinx and they are waiting for the decision notice from the committee to go further. And for the forestry, as far as I know, we don't have a tree belongs to the city on the front. Only one tree gonna be removed in the rear yard, and the size of the tree is about 20 centimeters. We're gonna apply for the permit for the cutting of that tree.
Okay, so without going into details, should the committee move forward with including these conditions, you would not have any concerns, and I'm sure you would be able to resolve any discrepancies with the forestry department.
Correct.
Thank you very much. All right. So committee members, you heard the applicant confirming or acknowledging the conditions. Do you have any questions for the agent at this time? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask the agent to just briefly discuss the height variance that's being sought. See the variance up to 9 meters, and I think the zoning bylaw standard is, I think it's 7.2. I'll just go back to my notes.
Okay.
So I wonder if you could just very briefly discuss the drawings and why the need for that height.
Yes. As a Scarborough zoning bylaw, the maximum height for the slope roof is 9 meters. However, the same bylaw indicate that under soffit must be 2 meters lower than the maximum peak. So it's gonna be 7 meters. In our case, because we don't have a slope roof and is a modern design with a parapet, even though our roof is a 10% slope, but it's not going to be satisfied the building code as a slope roof. So this building counting as a flat roof, and 7 meters is going to be under soffit, which is we don't have it, so it's going to be maximum height of our building. However, to satisfy the height of the living space on the second floor and the first floor, so the first floor going to be 9 feet 8 inches, and second floor going to be 8 feet. So we ask the committee to be kind and give us the permission. We go with the 9 meters to top up the points.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. I'll think about it.
Okay. Thank you, Member McKay. Any other comments or questions? I see none. All right. So as we're vetting the session or vetting the items on the agenda, let's proceed, and committee, may I have a motion on this application, subject to conditions? There are conditions here. Looking for a motion. Do you want to hold down this item or think about it or have more questions? Otherwise, I need a motion. Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too have a concern about the height of the building, so I can move a motion for partial approval of this application, where variance number, the variance which is about height of the
Sorry,
building, variance number.
just a second. Yeah, I will. I was just waiting for him to complete. So here's the thing, just reminding all the members here that if for any reason you have more questions or have concerns with this application or any application, we need to have further discussion so that we give the opportunity to the applicant to provide the justification or defend his application. This way, we're making a decision without getting the full information or without giving the applicant the benefit of providing his side of opinion. So, if there are concerns and if committee members are leaning towards something that may not be positive, then I request or I suggest that we hold down this item. Okay, go ahead, Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for a very good reminder. Yes, I will say there is some concerns about the variances. Can we hold it?
Okay, all right. I will like to hold down this item to give the applicant the opportunity to defend his application. And again, just a reminder to everyone, if in any situation you are like if this is a situation, please request to hold it down. Even during the deliberation, if you have any concerns, don't wait for it to be discussed when we take the matter into committee for a decision. Make sure you're upfront with your concerns and you give the applicant the opportunity to discuss as well. Okay, anyway, so this is the item. We're going to hold it down. Item 18 is being held now. So, Sherwin, we will come back to it in the main body. 19. Item 19 is 127 ASHRIDGE Drive, and I do not see any registered speaker here. Can I please have the agent Yasu Somalingam, please?
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee. My name is Yaso Somalingam. I'm the authorized agent on this application.
Okay, thank you. Yasu, do you have any comments at this time?
No, these are mixed variances in the last approval. There was some error happened on the notification. So to the public, so we had to come back to the variance again and get it approved. But these items were the rest of the items were already approved, and these are the mixed variances which we had to come and do it. I think there is some mistake happened on the notices.
Okay, thank you very much for confirming, and you're aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, committee members, any questions, any comments at this time? I see none. Okay. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion? There's conditions of urban forestry. Member Said, go ahead.
Madam Chair, the three variances before the committee, I believe they are minor in nature and appropriate. I would therefore put forward motion for approval of item 19, subject to the urban forestry condition number 1 and condition number 2.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Second this motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item 20, 323 Rouge Hills Drive. We have registered speakers on this. However, staff have advised that one of the registered neighbors, Michael and Linda Hart Mulgrew, have provided an email saying that they will not be attending they would not be delegating this item anymore. But we still have another neighbor registered, so we will hold down this item. So item 323 Rouge Hills Drive is being held for further discussion. This is item 20. Okay, moving to item 22, 521 Warden Avenue. There are no registered speakers. Can I please have the agent, Rock Kim?
The owner?
Hello, Rock. You
521. I'm sorry.
Can you hear us, Rock?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mind speaking a bit louder and please provide your name and address, sir?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it better? Okay. My name is Rock Kim. I'm the agent of the 521 Warden, 523 Warden Avenue, 525 Warden Avenue.
Okay. My question to staff, we'll have to deal with these items separately, right? Because they're three different addresses with associated minor variance applications?
Through the chair, yes, you can. And if the chair wishes, staff, there are conditions for for 521 Warden. There's urban forestry and I guess engineering conditions. For items 22, it's I guess urban forestry, ECS, and like all three of them have two sets of conditions. Those would be, if you wish to approve it, this would be applied to the consent applications,
And so the question.
and you can deal with those
All
together if you wish.
together, okay. Committee members, do you have any concerns with dealing with the three items, items 22, 23, and 24 altogether? Do you have any concerns with that? No? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so let's deal with items 22, 23, and 24 together. So Rock, over to you. Any questions or comments at this time?
No, not really.
Okay. Committee members, any questions for any of the items? Member McKay?
Well, Rock, Development Engineering is asking for a road widening as a condition of this consent approval. Is that agreeable to your client, a road widening?
Yes, we already made the front of the road widening 0.4 meter. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Member McKay. I think that's a good question. It's just reminding me to ask. So Kim, there were other conditions as well. Do you have any questions or concerns with any of other conditions as well? As staff mentioned, there are urban forestry conditions and ECS conditions for all three of your applications. Do you have any concerns?
No, we all agree about the conditions.
Okay.
Through the chair, for 523 and 525 Warden, the ECS conditions also require TTC issues be addressed regarding the bus shelter.
But those will be secured through the engineering, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right, so yes, thank you for flagging that. So there are TTC bus shelter requirements, but those will be addressed through engineering. So, Kim, you have any questions on that?
No, I already talked to the TTC department about the, it's been a lot of revision for that. Anyway, we are satisfied right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, coming back to the committee members, Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rock, I just want to know that in all these three applications, the consent application, you are creating lots which are deficient both in their frontage as well as the lot area concerned. Could you just tell us, have you done a lot area study and how the other lots in the corresponding area, adjoining area, they are, what size are prevailing there?
The recently 519, the right adjacent neighbor, has been severed. They have the coverage of the building is they got approved 46%. We have right now 38.5%. We are less than what they have of the coverage, and then the backside of the house already severed of the neighbor, and then most of the houses, the frontage the minimum is 9 meter requirement. So we have required 7.6 meter for each of the lot. So I think this is very minor variances.
Okay. All right, Mr. Member Said, you're good? Okay, all right. So carrying on, if there are no further questions or comments, can I please have a motion? So when putting forward a motion, you don't have to state the file numbers, you can just state the address. And refer to both consent applications with conditions and minor variance applications there are no conditions. Member Macaulay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of consent applications. I'm going to do the consent applications first,
Okay.
and then the variances, and then we can vote on the whole as a package, because I don't believe there's much difference. So I
Okay.
move approval of consent applications for 521 Warden Avenue, for 523 Warden Avenue, and for 525 Warden Avenue. All three applications create two new lots requiring variances. The consent applications are subject to conditions of development engineering and urban forestry. I understand the development engineering have also picked up the TTC issue that the applicant has said he's already been talking to TTC about. We really appreciate that you've already done half your homework before you come to see us. So my recommendation is approval for those three consent applications. Do you want to take a vote now and then we'll move to the variances?
We can do it together.
Okay, I will proceed with the variances. Move approval for the variances. And there are, I believe, 6 variances, 2 for each lot.
You don't need to specify those. I think you can just say the variance application for each of the addresses, and that should be sufficient.
Okay. I move approval for variances for 521 Warden Avenue, variances for 523 Warden Avenue, and variances for 525 Warden Avenue. I note the variances are almost identical, 5 variances each, with the exception of the middle lot, which has a small change simply because of its a setback to the trough in the interior lot. So I move approval for 3 consents and 6 variances, subject to the conditions as said.
Okay, all right. So approval of all consent applications, subject to conditions, and approval of all variance applications. Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Is there a seconder? You'll have to speak up because I've lost the video again, please.
Chair, this is Mohammed, and I will second the motion.
Thank you. Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? All right, I'll start with Member McKay.
Yes, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Member Igor.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Thank you. And for me, I'm in favor as well. So it's unanimous and the applications have been approved. Thank you. So moving to our next item, 792 Midland Avenue. This is item 25, and I have a conflict, so I will step away and I will request Member Macaulay to chair this item for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I can see everybody with the exception of staff, so hopefully we can do this fairly easily. Is the
Through the chair, on the YouTube, no, I guess we cannot see it. No one is, no panel members are visible. So you're gonna have to check with each panel member first, individually.
Okay. In the break, I read my email that said the Committee of Adjustment in Etobicoke is having the same problems today. So I apologize on behalf of the Scarborough Committee of Adjustment to our applicants and participants. Is the applicant for 792 Midland, are you there?
Fan, NIA Architects, 10 Milner Business Court, Suite 710, Scarborough, Ontario, and 1B366.
Thank you. Have you read the reports from community planning and urban forestry?
Madam Chair, I have not seen a community planning report. I actually spoke to the community planner just a few days, maybe a week ago when it was due the last day, and I was made aware that they're not writing any report, and they were supportive of the application. So we've been working with them last 2 years, and they've been supporting.
Okay, I apologize. That's my error. I see we have comments from urban forestry. We have comments from ECS, and we have comments from heritage planning and from Metrolix, but we do not have any comments from urban from community planning. So that's my mistake. I apologize.
No problem, Madam Chair. I have reviewed those comments, and we acknowledge those comments.
Okay, thank you. Um, do you wish to make a presentation? I'm going through my checklist here.
Just a brief one. We have been working with the community planning. Initially, it was a proposal for the 4 lots, but back and forth revision and discussion, and in consultation with the departments, our client, he revised the proposal to 3 lots, and we have been working with the urban forestry back and forth. 2 submissions have been made, and we're confident we'll be able to work through the solution. So it's as of right, 3 lots are can be created. It's because only this lot has a site-specific zoning, and for that reason, you see a bunch of variances, especially pertaining to the rear yard, the side yards, and all that. But these sort of variances are very, very common in the neighborhood. And for that matter, community planning is not writing a report and not showing any concern. So we are requesting the committee members to consider this for approval.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant? And I can see you, so if you raise your hands, I will
Through
acknowledge.
the chair, we can through the chair. Viewers on YouTube cannot see all the committee members, so you're going to have to ask each one individually.
Okay. Gary McKay, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Just a very brief comment, because it's a matter of interest, and that is that the heritage section is asking for a stage 1 to stage 2 archaeological assessment. Your client prepared to do that?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, it's a part of a condition. Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Igor, any questions?
No questions or comments, Madam Chair.
Mohammed, any questions?
No question, Madam Chair.
Okay. Applicant, do you wish to say anything further?
Madam Chair, this is a very good candidate for intensification. It's very close to the intersection of Midland and Eglinton Avenue. It's a very old detached dwelling, and most of the lot is empty. And we see that this will create 2 more units in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, do I have a motion? Mohammed, Member Mohammed, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe the consent application and the minor variance applications attached to this. The variances are quite minor, appropriate in nature. Therefore, Madam Chair, I put forward the motion for approval of consent application, subject to the urban forestry condition number 1, condition number 2, as well as engineering services recommendations, which also cover the road widening, as well as the recommendation of the heritage planning, urban design, city planning, as they are going to have stage 1 and 2 archaeological assessments. So with these conditions, I move my motion for approval of consent application, and I will also move a motion for approval of the minor variance applications. There are three, and I move my motion for approval of minor variance application.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Igor,
Through the chair, for this for the minor variance application, I believe there are 4 minor variance applications.
I didn't see 4 applications, sir. I noted that we have 4 applications listed in our agenda, but when I went through the material that we had received, we only have applications 336, 337, and 338. I could not find any information on the application 339.
Through the chair, our mistake. There were originally 4 minor variance applications. Through the review of the application, one of the minor variance applications was subsequently withdrawn. I guess it was reduced from 4 lots to 3 lots. So member site is correct. It's for 3 minor variance applications.
Okay. All right. So just to reiterate, I have a motion for approval of the consent application and 3 variance applications. I believe Igor was proceeding to second the motion.
I will second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor of this? And in this case, if I need to say Gary McKay's in favor,
Yes.
Igor's in favor, and Mohammed's in favor. I do not vote because I am chair at this and would cause a conflict. So that matter is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Macaulay, for your assistance. Just give me a moment to log in. Okay. So we've dealt with item 25. Now moving on to the next item, item 26. This is 574 Pharmacy Avenue. And I don't believe there are any registered speakers. So let's start with the agent. Agent is Miaoui Zhu. All right. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and lady members.
Good afternoon, Miaoui. So we have your application before us for 574 Pharmacy Avenue. It's a consent application, and I don't see any associated minor variance applications here. So my question to you is, have you had a chance to look at it was a lapsed consent, so it's coming back to us for that. Are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have the agent for 574 Pharmacy Avenue, lapsed condition coming back for the new application. From what I understand, there's no changes. It was similar to exactly what was approved last time. So any comments or questions? I see none. All right. If there are no questions or comments, can I please have a motion? This is for 574 Pharmacy Avenue consent application. Member Macaulay.
I move approval for the consent application for 574 Pharmacy Avenue. It was previously approved as stated.
And there are conditions of urban forestry? There's one condition.
And there will be one condition of urban forestry. I'm going to say, and any conditions that apply through the previous consent that have not been fulfilled.
I would hesitate to do that, Member Macaulay. If it creates any conflict, I'd just say the condition recommended by urban forestry. Okay, all right, so is that okay with you, Member Macaulay, or do you still want to keep your verbiage?
I'll change my verbiage to say approval of the consent subject to urban forestry and any of the standard conditions of consent.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? I have 3 contenders. I'll go with Member Igor.
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
That was quite in sync. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So the last item on this agenda, item 27, 1236 Birchmount Road. There are no residents or registered speakers. Can I please have the agent? And the agent would be Calvin Lenz. Hello, Calvin.
Yes, yes, good afternoon, members of the committee. Calvin Lance from Stikeman Elliott, agent for the applicant in this matter.
Thank you, Calvin, for joining us. Calvin, you have read the conditions of urban forestry, and do you have any concerns with those conditions?
Well, Madam Chair, I'm a little confused by the urban forestry conditions, given that the building is already constructed. They're drywalling it and occupancy will take place in June. So when I read that, if I'm reading the chart correctly, it just wasn't clear to me what we had to do
Okay.
for an internal coffee shop use.
Okay, so
Not sure what.
so the condition from urban forestry that has been recommended to be included is condition number 2, which basically is that applicant submit a complete application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree as per City of Toronto Municipal Code, private tree protection. So it's a private tree that's perhaps subject of this application proposed to be removed?
Yes, like I said, we don't understand it, why that's being asked.
Because it's an interior alteration application only, correct?
That's correct.
Is there
We're not changing the.
Yeah. Okay. Staff, can I get some clarification?
Through the chair, the committee has 2 options, well, actually 3 options. One is, option 1 is that the applicant can, the committee can continue to impose the condition. The applicant can further, I guess, confer with urban forestry to just clarify that this is for an interior alteration and ask that they clear it as part of the, before they can issue the building, before the building permit can be issued. Option 2 is that the applicant can request deferral of this to clarify this with urban forestry. And option 3 is the committee can approve the application or make a decision on this application without imposing the urban forestry condition.
Okay, thank you for that. Just a quick question to Calvin. Calvin, I didn't read it, but is the site plan application been completed?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, the building is the concrete is up, they're drywalling, the 220 rooms, they're drywalling them right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason I ask is sometimes construction proceeds and while the site plan agreement's still being completed, so that's why I wasn't clear. Okay, so committee members, we have 3 options as recommended, so I don't believe the applicant would be interested in a deferral.
You may, through the chair, you may want to ask the applicant.
Question? Okay, all right. Calvin, would you be interested in deferral to get that clarification, or would you rather proceed and include and have the committee included in the decision, and then you can resolve it with urban forestry?
Yeah, my preference would be not to defer it. I'm really in your hands. I'm happy whether the condition's added or not. We'll speak to urban forestry. I just wanted to highlight the fact that we didn't really understand what the condition related to.
Okay, fair enough. So committee members, I cannot see you again. So I'm going to start with Member McCauley. Do you have any questions or concerns?
Sorry, you can hear me. I had to assume you could not see me because I wanted to ask a question of the applicant. And that question was, Did he already receive approval from urban forestry for the building under construction?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then in such a case, because it's just an interior change, it would be meaningless to go back and ask them for another approval, in my
That,
opinion.
That's
and that was exactly what we were thinking, yes.
Okay.
all right.
Madam Chair,
I have to check with other,
subject to anyone else wanting to say anything,
yeah, I'll
I'm
just check with
prepared
other
to move a
members.
motion.
Let me check with other members and then I'll come back to you. Member Igor, any questions?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member Said, any questions or comments?
No question, only the
Okay.
comment, Madam Chair, as this is only the interior alterations, and I will say there should not be any conditions for the urban forestry.
Okay, thank you. And Member McKay?
Yes, I agree. I would take back that condition about urban forestry. I would not add a condition, as part of the approval.
Understood. Okay, thank you. So coming back to you, Member Macaulay, if you wish to proceed with your motion, please go ahead.
I move approval of this application for a variance for the use and reduction of parking. There are spaces. There are no conditions. Sorry, it is not subject to any conditions.
Okay. So again, I just want to remind, because you refer to one variance only, there's two variances. One relates to parking and one relates to the additional use. So again, just as a
I
reminder,
believe I mentioned both of them.
I didn't quite catch that. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it was a glitch. Okay, so I would just say
Maybe
leave it.
mumbled
Yeah,
a bit too much.
yeah, just the variance application that's before us. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion on the
Do you
floor
want me
from
to
member.
repeat?
Go ahead.
All right, I will repeat. I move approval of the variance application to permit a restaurant of less than 100 meters square on the ground floor of a mixed-use building. And I move approval of the reduction in parking spaces to 0 versus 10.7 spaces per 100 meters square.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? And I don't see you, so you may have to speak up, please. Who's the seconder?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair. Igor.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Igor seconds the motion, and all in favor of this motion. So I'll come to you, Member McKay. Are you in favor?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm in favor. I
Thank
approve.
you. Thank you. And Member Said?
Yes, Madam Chair, I support that.
Okay, thank you. And I am also in favor of the motion. So the motion's carried and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, so I think that was the last item on this afternoon's agenda. So we're going to go back to the items that we have held for further discussion. So the first one is item number 18, item number 20. That's it? Okay. So two items that we held. So let's come back to the first item. This is item 18 for 22 RHYDWEN Avenue. And can I please have Shervin? Shervin, are you with us?
This is Shervin here.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
I'm here.
so Shervin, maybe it would be best if we can, let's go to the committee members and let them ask those questions, because a couple of members had some concerns, and maybe it's an opportunity for them to ask the questions and then you can respond accordingly.
Sure, 100%.
Okay, fantastic. So going to, again, members of the committee, I cannot see you, so whoever wishes to go first, please do so and let me know. You have to speak up now.
Chair, this is Mohammed. My concern was about variance number 3, which speaks about the height of the building. So in the vetting stage, the applicant was mentioning that this is a slope roof, but actually it is not, and it's so the height is quite exceeding the one which is required standard. So I would like to have the applicant's thoughts on that, or what are the triggering factors for this height?
Okay, so if I can sort of just elaborate a bit, that essentially, and I think what we would do is bring up the elevation drawing on the screen. I would request staff to do so, and then maybe Sherwin can walk us through and show us how the height is being measured, where the established graded, and then what is triggering the height variance. So I think that would be prudent. So Sherwin, you have 5 minutes. You please tell us how this height issue is, what's causing this height issue.
Yes. um, as a matter of fact, there is a building bylaw mentioned the minimum height of the garage in the Toronto area must be 84 inches, which is going to be 7 feet. When we consider that one as a garage and the garage entrance and the joist height, the first level height gonna be something around 8 feet 8 inches if we use the 8-inch joist. First floor height consider as 9 feet 8 inches height, and another 12-inch joist gonna be on top of that, and the second floor gonna be 8 feet. In the end, because of the roof shape, which is not a slope roof, is a flat roof, we need a very shallow trusses, is a 2 feet trusses, or we have to go with the joist can carry from one side to other side without any barrier in the middle, because there is no barrier wall or barrier members considered right now as a design for the second floor roof. So in the total, when the adds up all together, we're gonna receive to 9 meters. I double checked the building bylaw is 9.2 meters height is a maximum allowance for the Scarborough, but it's for the slope roof. Since it's not a slope roof and the flat roof, we have to go back to the 7.2 meters. By the considering the height of the each floors and the minimum height of the garage, we have to go with 9 meters height.
Okay, thank you, Sherwin, for that. But you're referring to a slope or pitch roof. I don't see it anywhere. All I see is a flat roof. So I appreciate that in the. Mhm.
Yes, let me explain. If the roof was sloped, and the slope means the slope 1 to 4, which is we don't have it, we have it 1 to 10. So it's not considered as a slope roof. But if there is a slope roof, we can go up to 9.2 meters, which is we are not slope roof again. We are counting as a flat roof. Flat roof counting up to the under the soffit, which is 2 meters under the pitch. We don't have a pitch, so it's gonna be 7.2 meters height. I'm explaining what's the building bylaw and what's the outcome of the criteria of the building bylaw and why it comes to 7.2 meters.
Okay, so I
So
still can't see. I still cannot see the slope at all. To me, it appears as a fairly flat roof all across. And I do appreciate there may be technicality that we're not seeing, but at the end of the day, bottom line is that it is a flat roof, and it's being deemed as a flat roof, for which the maximum height is 7.2. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then what you're seeking for is a height of 9 meters. Now, if you look at this side elevation, actually, thank you for pulling that one up. You can see the grade difference, or how the established grade is being established. So maybe you can sort of shed some light on how the height is being calculated based on the established grade. That may help you advance your application, actually.
Again, minimum height, interior minimum height for the garage must be 84 inches.
Correct.
So it's gonna be 2.1 meters. And there is a structure above the garage, and if we consider as a 8-inch or the 20 centimeters joist, 2 by 8 joist,
Yep.
we're gonna reach around 8 feet.
Right.
Sorry, 7 feet 10 inches. first floor height is something around 9 feet 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then second floor height is 8 feet, which is 2.5 meters.
Right.
So there is a roof structure is a very shallow trusses or the very high joist because there is no any member to carry a load in the middle. So we have to calculate the load from the one end to the other end and consider the tornado effect and the wind effect on the building. So in the end, we're gonna come with a 9 meters height.
Okay. Understood. Okay. All right. Committee members, does that help address your concerns, or do you have any follow-up questions? I think the way the construction is being done and the way the ceiling heights are being calculated, I think that's what's resulting in this increased height. And if you look at the some of the elevations further down, you'll see there's like a bit of a grade difference as well in how the established grade is being established. I think that's what's contributing. But I think what you need to keep in mind or look at is the front elevation. And as you can see, the first floor actually starts at when you at the door entrance level. So it is still a two-story building, but just the way the height is being calculated, it is coming up at, so it's not a three-story building, it's still a two-story building, but it's just the way the height is being calculated that's resulting into that additional floor, the height of the building. Okay, any follow-up questions, any comment?
Well, just a Madam
Sure.
Chair, so it's really the integral garage then is the issue or the problem then is because there's an integral garage, it's hoisting the other two stories.
That's what
situation?
that's what I gather as well, Mr. McKay. I think that's what's triggering it.
I wasn't able to see the just the terrain. I'm sorry, you're indicating that. Sorry, I can't think of it, but in any event, I wasn't able to see the ground on the drawing that you mentioned when you're saying there seems to be a variation in grade on the property. And when we looked at that side view of the building, I just didn't see that. Could you point it out again?
Can you pull up?
Variation in grade?
Can you pull up the site elevation, maybe?
Well,
So-
it's not a variation of the grade because that area is lower in the basement. If you see in the end right, is because of the entrance to the basement. Well, that one must be a lower. Same here in the left side is a entrance level for the basement.
All right, nothing further from me. Thank you.
Madam Chair, perhaps we can see the front elevation again. Because, do you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, yes, please go ahead. So can we have the front
Oh,
elevation,
okay.
please?
I'm just not positive if everyone hears me. In the front elevation, from what the applicant is saying, he has a garage at grade, and then he has a first floor, and the first floor, as I understand it, has a height of 9 feet 8 inches versus a more conventional 8-foot height on the first floor. And then his second floor is 8 meters. So the second floor is conventional height. What he's asking for here is 9 meters. I don't believe that includes the parapet. It's 9 meters of height plus a parapet. I think what the issue we have to look at here is if this was a two-story house with a sloped roof, it would be the same height. 9 meters is allowed. But the difference here is that the City of Toronto's zoning bylaw recognizes that a flat roofed building and its front facade provides a greater, if you want, intrusion or appears to be bigger than a two-story with a sloped roof. And so our question is, are we willing to go for 9 meters flat roof plus, plus parapet, recognizing that that has a greater impact on the appearance of the street than a sloped roof at the same height?
Excuse me, Madam Councillor, is including the parapet is 9 meters.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Madam Chair, this is Mohammed. I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, looking at the street view, I am just looking the street view, and I have seen there are a couple of other two-story new build houses, and they have the sloped roof, which is quite in character of the street. I don't see any flat roof with this height in the street. So this will be having not a good impact if you look at the street overall character of the street. So it's not going to be blended with the architecture thereon. So if it is a flat roof with a height of 9 meter, I think this is not an appropriate development. Thank you.
Okay, so
Madam
you
Chair,
have
this is Igor.
concerns. Sorry, Igor. So you have concerns with the character, not so much the height of the building.
It's both which
Okay.
are interrelated to each other, because if it is a slope roof with this height,
Mm-hmm.
it will be blending with the other. If you see on the street, there are
Yes.
two
Yes.
houses
Yeah.
nearby,
Yeah.
and also if you go to the along the street, there are a couple of more houses. But I think this is going to be the first flat roof in the street, if I am
Okay. All right. I
correctly, if
understand that.
somebody noticed that.
Yeah. So
Thank
I can. So what you're saying is it's the tradition. There's sort of the traditional architecture along the street. So this would be the first one, and it may have an impact. Thank you for that, Member Igor. Please.
I just want to point out, Madam Chair, I think the street view is on that photo right now, which is what I was going to point out. There is another house that's flat roof.
Mm-hmm.
If you move to the right one more time, there you go. I believe it's 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it does seem like there are some houses that do have a flat roof and not a pitched roof. Further scan of down the street as well, it does seem like there are some pitched roofs that are clearly going more towards a flat roof than, such as the one right there as well, such as being completely pitched. So I wouldn't say that there isn't any precedence. It seems like there is at least one, or you might be able to argue two or three that are on that exact same street that have a flat roof. Just wanted to add that in for further context.
That's very helpful, Igor. I think you definitely pointed out in the right direction. There's already a change in character starting to happen with the new builds, getting closer towards flat roofs. And I'm looking at all of them. They are all they're still sort of similar to what's being proposed in the sense that the except that the garages are not there, the integral garages, but they're all kind of raised, and they are within the 9 meter height. I'm hoping that they're all within the 9 meter limit. So more or less, I think there's a lot of variety on the street. I've also gone back and forth on the street. So it's a mix.
Although,
Yeah.
as you said, Madam Chair, and just looking at those few precedents, it didn't seem that there was an integral garage as part
Right.
of the house, and that's what we have here.
Right. But the bylaws don't stop one from having an integral garage, right? So,
No, but it adds to, that's true, but it adds to overall height of the structure.
yes, for that particular
This is-
one,
This is
yes.
a difficult one.
I agree with you. I mean, that does add, or the way it's being designed, it's adding to the height, but this is the old housing stock. And back in the day when these were built, the garages were not being built integral to the main building. So hence you see, but I think with any new builds, we will see the pattern of integral garages, right? This is the modern day build, home building, whatever you may want to call it. Okay, all right.
Yes, I think that's so. Yes, okay.
Madam Chair, I just also want to add for further context. I apologize. 44A and 44B on the same street have an integral garage that have been built. They're peak pitched roofs, not flat roofs perhaps, but there is precedence for that. And I will say, out of the 6 or 7 new builds on the street, almost all of them, regardless if they have a integral garage or not, do have steps that go up onto the main floor, similar to
Right.
what's being proposed here
Well,
on all the,
perfect. Yeah, there you go. So,
as is displayed on street.
yeah, so this is a perfect example, right? This is 42 RHYDWEN Avenue. So you're right, they still have the traditional roof style, but there's an integral garage, and you can see the way the front entrances is and the way the floors are raised. So it's a mix. As I said, this street is definitely, it's a great example of a mix of housing and types of house forms, right? And types of build forms. It has everything.
Good, bad, and indifferent.
So, so I think we had a good discussion on this. Are there any more concerns, or can we go back to the applicant for closing remarks and then take the matter into committee? We just want to I just want to make sure that we're transparent. If we have any more concerns, we need to give the applicant an opportunity. If you feel that you have expressed all your concerns and are ready to make a decision, then we can go into committee. Okay, I don't see anyone raising their hand, so I'm going to now go back to Shervin. Shervin, any closing remarks?
Well, I just talked to the owner, and they are willing to reduce the first floor height from the 9 feet 8 inches to 8 feet.
So how does that translate into the height requirement or the,
The height of the building gonna be reduced about 50 centimeters. So we're gonna go with 8.5 meters.
okay, so let's take the public notice. So this is variance number 3. The permitted maximum
Yes,
height
correct.
is 7.2 meters and the proposed height is 9 meters. So you're suggesting that you're modifying it to 8.5?
Yes, correct.
Committee members, does that address any of your, like, does that address your concern, or makes the variance a little bit more palatable? Member Macaulay?
Yes,
Yes, I appreciate it. It makes it more palatable. I appreciate what the applicant is proposing. It's still higher than what the bylaw would permit, but having looked at the variety of housing on the street, I'm aware that we're going to have different heights along that street, and I guess my concern has been that if you get a very high building, it is just slap dab in your face, and that's the appearance. But when it is somewhat less and muted by other houses in the area of different heights, it doesn't stand out as inappropriate. So I would be prepared to accept the applicant's proposal of a maximum building height of 8.5 meters, which includes the parapet.
Okay. Any further comments?
it's Gary McKay. I'll accept that modification.
Okay,
In other words, that could see me giving approval. Okay.
okay. Thank you, Member McKay. All right, I think we had a good discussion. The applicant has confirmed the modification of the proposed height to be at 8.5. Thank you, Shervin. I will,
Through the chair, there are conditions. You may want to ask the applicant if they're aware of those conditions and if they're in agreement with them.
okay, thank you for that. Shervin, are you aware of the conditions of where are they from?
From
Urban Forestry? Yeah, they're comments from Urban Forestry and Metrolinx. Do you have any concerns with those conditions?
No, Madam Chair, we are okay.
All right, so the applicant has confirmed he has no concerns with the requested recommended conditions. Now, can we take the matter into committee? Committee members? Can you please provide a motion? Member Igor?
Madam Chair, I'm happy to provide a motion for approval with the amendment of 8.5 meters, is it, in terms of height, with the urban forestry conditions and the Metrolinx, subject to urban forestry conditions and Metrolinx conditions.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, go ahead,
Prepared to
please.
second that motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion.
Okay. All right, so I will accept Member Said's seconding the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved as amended. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. All right, so the second item that was held for discussion was item number 20, and this is 323 Rouge Hills Drive. Can I please have the agent, Ida Evangelista? Ida, you're with us?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members. Ida Evangelista, 53 Bentworth Avenue, Toronto, on behalf of the owners.
Thank you.
Owner and Gowan.
Okay, thank you very much. Ida, do you wish to present or do you wish to go right to the questions?
I would like to just give a quick synopsis, although I do believe that my submission that I provided to you and the members, where I've outlined all the various variances, a lot of them relate to we do have we have expressed various articulation on the front facade of this home. It's 2-level and our height. I do want to. We are proposing a flat roof home here. This is a very eclectic area with 2-story shallow roof, roofing with peaks, some flat roofs, some bungalows. So it is a very eclectic neighborhood. This home backs onto Rouge Park. So I believe we are now probably about 2.5 years in the making, working with TRCA and staff, perfecting the application that we have, because this is a TRCA regulated area of the Rouge River watershed. So for that reason, we've had to step back the house substantially, and especially now because of our climate is changing, even more so away from the stable top of bank. So that being said, many of the variances relate to, as I mentioned, to the articulation at the front of the house. We have a pop out at the front of the house, which is the front entry point. However, if we stand in front of the garage and we look towards the street, we're at 15.5 meters. And from the front pop out, looking at the street, we're at 13.85 meters. Now, just to talk about our height a little bit, because we are proposing a flat roof house. So in this particular situation, zoning has taken the height from the established grade. However, the finished grade being that if I'm standing on the ground and I look up, then to the lower point of the height of the house is 7.66 meters, and to the higher point is 8.17 meters. However, with the established grade, because we also have to take into consideration, even though the grading, the grading's taken at neighboring properties, but what we have to do in this particular situation, and Madam Chair and members, as you know, that when we are building a new home or any construction happening on your property, your rain, your water has to be maintained on your property. So we have to provide a lot grading and drainage plan. And that's why the established grade, that's the difference between the established grade and the finished grade. But if I am standing in front of my garage and I look up to the lower level, it's 7.66 meters. and to the next level up is 8.17. And albeit a good foot of that is the parapet, where we have the scuppers and all the internal eaves and whatnot. So also we do have a length variance. However, the length variance only relates to the west side. Our east side, we are asking for an additional length of 17.51. Now, if you take a look, you can even notice it on my submission on page 3. You'll see that what the new home that we're proposing is very similar to the footprint of what exists. And we've had to change it ever so slightly again, working with TRCA and in perfecting the application as it is. So, and if you also refer to my aerial view on page 7, you'll see the curvature of the road, and you'll see the Rouge River watershed behind our property. And the elevations also show the tiering at the front of the house and how the measurements are taken of the front yard setbacks to the, to the parapet at the top, parapet in the middle, and it's just all related. But I believe, Madam Chair, my submission, I described everything and all variances. I am open to any questions. I do understand that there is someone that is registered, and hopefully I'm able to address their concerns.
Okay, thank you very much, Ida. Appreciate that. Yes, your material that you showed online, like the one that we had on the screen, we have already reviewed it. It was quite comprehensive and detailed, and you've touched upon all the variances. So thank you for doing that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Ida? I see none. Yeah,
Madam Chair, this is Mohammed. Can I ask a question?
please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ida, just a short question. Looking at the street view once again, there are 2 mature trees right in the front yard. And that's why I think the urban forestry is asking you to reduce the driveway to preserve that tree. Is that going to be preserved? It's not going to be injured. I just need a confirmation from you.
Through you, Madam Chair, member, sir, yes, that is going to be preserved. I did provide a modified list because we do want to comply with forestry. We are going to remove the width of the driveway, so it will be preserved. The crabapple tree, the one closer to, is in decay, and forestry is in agreement with that. But the larger tree that they want us to preserve, we are doing that. So yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And it's shown on the revised site plan. It also shows the protection measures for that particular tree.
Yes,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for that question. Anybody else? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick clarification. There was, as part of our package, some concerns around erosion, and I just want to get some understanding and clarification from the applicant. I assume that as they've mentioned, they've been working with the city and with the region in terms of ensuring that the Rouge National Park and the erosion doesn't take place and is at a level that is sufficient for that area. So I'm just wondering if you can clarify those aspects in the work that you've been doing, that what has been agreed upon won't be creating too much of an effect on the surrounding sort of natural heritage.
Through you, Madam Chair, member, if you refer to A0004, you'll see our long-term stable top of slope. So, and there is a line, and we have a setback on the westerly portion where we've set it back at 7. It's just for that, it's like the pinch point, the corner, because that's where the existing foundation wall is. However, it does open up. TRCA has visited the site. They are quite careful today in how the long-term stable top of slope works with. We did have to provide an erosion and sediment control plan. It is taken quite seriously. So in this particular, on this particular site plan 004, you'll notice there is a deep line that starts on the west side, and then it opens right up, and it opens up and it goes beyond to approximately 15 meters. So they've reviewed TRCA, RNFP, everybody has reviewed all our various reports that relate to top of slope, erosion settlement control, and they're very comfortable. And as you see from the report the TRCA has provided, they are in support of the application that you have in front of you today.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to thank the applicant for their really thorough and detailed responses as part of this conversation, as well as with their submission. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, thanks everyone. Okay, so let's, I'm just cognizant of the time here. Let's move on to speaking with our neighbor, and then maybe we'll have more opportunity to discuss as needed. So let's go to Anne and Reg Slemons. Hello?
Hello,
Hi,
my
Anne.
name is Anne Slemons. How do you do? I'm very nervous at doing this, so I'm not an expert. But this is my concern, and I wrote it down. My
Sure.
concern is drainage. I live directly across the road. Our driveway from the 50s is a reverse, or I think you call it subterranean. The house is coming forward now. There's going to be a lot more hardscape than there ever was or is on the house right now. I'm no concern about the house itself. It's just the way it's situated on a small lot, the hardscape on a road that's only ditches, no sidewalks, and water has a way of coming our way. And we have had flooding in the past. And that's what I want to mention. As far as erosion, I have lived in this house for 55 years. In the 90s, or starting in the 80s, just about 4 houses away from this property, they decided to take down all trees and shrubs. And if anybody ever walks on the Rouge River in the winter, or takes a canoe on that marsh area in the summer, they now have gabion baskets to help hold that all up. And when that all crashed in the 90s, all houses, including the one we're talking about now, were all hit by the erosion. And it started around, I remember 331, not the house that pulled down the trees and shrubs, but then it went south and we just saw erosion. And it was scary, awful, nobody was injured. And that's all I have to say. It's the water, and we have had the flooding. In 1976, the ditches overflowed and filled our garage. Not fun. And in 2006, there was a smaller ditch overflow, but we managed it, and we have had our drain altered because of that. And I would like to say that our drain can take our driveway, which is single, a double driveway, I'm not so sure, that's rushing from across the street, but it can also take right now, as long as people clear the ditches ahead of us, south of us, the water flows naturally, and occasionally we have overflows. But right now we can control that. And that's all I have to say. I'm concerned about drainage, and I'm concerned about erosion.
Okay.
Sorry, I've had so much to say, and everybody has done word in edgeways, but that's my concern.
I appreciate that. I think you've articulated yourself very well. And I also want to let you know that we did receive your written submission as well. And it's more or less what you have just submitted in your verbal submission, and your concerns with the drainage and the erosion at the back. So thank you for reiterating your concerns. I appreciate that. All right. So let's take the matter back to Ida. Ida, do you have any, how would you like to respond, please? I think Anne has raised some good points here.
Okay, so the erosion, I would like to say that from our rear lot line, where the Rouge River sits, to the rear wall of our house is 188.8 feet away. The footprint of the house is at the rear of the property is where the footprint exists today. So we're not going beyond that. So that's in ways of erosion. And as I mentioned, we had to hire, Ms. Gowan had to hire engineers to do a very thorough report for TRCA and also shared with our NFP. So that's the erosion. We are quite a bit away from the Rouge. Now, insofar as drainage, this is an area where there are culverts. And I understand there are a couple of houses on the street that have a reverse slope. And I believe that's what Anne may have, a reverse slope driveway. So our driveway is we now comply with the driveway width of what is permitted. And as I mentioned previously, we do have to submit a lot grading and drainage plan. So when we submit to Toronto Buildings, now Toronto Buildings, they have their own engineers on staff who looks at this very, very carefully and take into consideration that there are culverts. Now, the slope is gradual for areas where there are the culverts, so that when the rainwater does, when it does rain, it will be able to manage its own runoff per se. So this is something that, we leave in the hands of the trusted engineers at the City of Toronto and also the surveyors, because that land has to be graded in such a way that it all has to be sloped north, south, east, and west, so that you're maintaining that water on your own property and you're not hindering neighboring properties around you. When it rains, the culvert should be able to take the rainwater. And I hope this addresses Anne's concerns.
Thank you, Ida, for that response. And I would like to also confirm with Anne is that yes, the plans are reviewed and approved through a process, both through this process as well as the forthcoming building permit process, where matters related to drainage in particular are looked at. And as Ida mentioned, it is required that any development, anything resulting out of the development in terms of drainage will have to be self-contained. There should be no adverse impact on adjacent properties. When it comes to culvert, those are designed by the city engineers and then they're monitored and looked at. So again, that's not subject to our jurisdiction. That's outside of our mandate, but I wanted to give you a level of comfort that the city staff and the experts have looked into it and will continue to look into it until the applications are approved and the construction occurs. As far as erosion is concerned, this application has gone through the TRCA review, and TRCA are the experts in matters related to environmental issues and impacts of development on, significant features like the Rouge and any erosion that may result of any development. Those are all the matters that are looked at by the TRCA. So I'm quite confident that the experts have looked into it, and otherwise this would not have moved forward and come to this point as it is today. So I hope that gives you some level of comfort. Of course, this is subject to a permit as well from the TRCA, and appropriate permits will have to be, and that's applicable law. It's not like something that any applicant can circumvent. Those are applicable laws and are required through the building permit process as well. So I think that in all should give us some comfort that this application is being looked at by the right hands. On that note, I want to start coming towards the closure of this. Committee members, any comments or questions that you may not have asked so far? I see none. All right. Well, thank you, Ida, for taking the time to meet with us and providing your presentations. I will like to take the matter into committee now. Committee members, any thoughts? Okay, I don't see any. Oh, Igor, go ahead, please.
I don't have any thoughts or comments, Madam Chair. I was just going to put forward a motion.
All right.
If you'd like.
Sure, please go ahead, because I didn't see any other member saying anything, so please go ahead and put forward a motion.
I'll put forward a motion for approval subject to urban forestry conditions, subject to
That's it.
Madam Chair.
I don't.
Oh, just urban forestry. Oh, right, you're right. Sorry, they have no. Yeah.
Yep.
Subject to urban forestry conditions.
And that the application is amended.
And the application is amended.
Yes. Okay, so Member Igor put forward a motion to approve the amended application, subject to conditions of urban forestry. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that recommendation. I was just double checking that TRCA has said that a permit is still required, but it's not a condition.
That is correct. And as I mentioned, it is applicable law under the building code. So once the building department is ready to issue the permit, I'm sure they will be seeking for that permit as well. Right, so Member Macaulay seconded the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved. Thank you. I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. We have no further items. We've dealt with all the items today. Colin, is there any other business?
Through the chair, since the last hearing, one TLAB decision/order was issued for 2657 to 2659 Midland Avenue consent and minor variance applications. It was originally refused by committee and appealed by the owner. The TLAB decision was that the appeal should be allowed and the consents and variances are approved subject to conditions.
Okay, thank you very much. There's no other business to discuss?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. And the date of the next meeting is yet to be confirmed?
Through the chair, it is to be confirmed.
Okay, thank you. All right. Committee members, we'll see you in the new year. Until then, you have happy holidays and hope you all enjoy and take a break and rest well.
Thank you. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Holidays
New
to
Year, yes.
all
All
of
right,
you.
motion to adjourn the meeting? I'll move it. Member Said seconds the
Move it.
motion. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. See you all in the new year.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
And thanks to the staff as well. And a happy holiday to them.
Yep. Good point.